They got banned too.
Well, looks like we're live.
All right, well, I guess hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 147 of Propy's weekly webinar, where we have the opportunity to discuss the differences between agents and advisors. My name is Chris Pope. I'm the head of sales of Propy, accompanied with Kirsten Heslop, who is a senior AE at Propy Title, and our special guest today. Our team has been in the real estate space for about a decade, has grown their team from about 2 employees to now over 10, and has sold 84 million in real estate. And I think also has a perfect 5 out of 5 review ranking on every website online. So welcome, Bogan and Alex. Excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're pumped. We've been looking forward to it.
Good time.
Okay, so thank you, Bogan and Alex. So before we start our conversation about agents versus advisors, I would really love to hear about the team's journey in the real estate space. So Alex and Bogan, why real estate? What do you love about real estate? What is your inspiration in this space?
Nose goes. I'll let you go first.
Okay. So what I love about real estate and why I got into it, part of it's the family business. We've been doing this basically since my parents, or not my parents, my great somewhat extension grandparents came to Pennsylvania way back in the 1700s. But aside from that, a lot of the stuff that we've been doing and a lot of what drove me back towards it is a lot of the ability to help people using some of the analysis tools that I have available, as well as education. I feel like a lot of people in this community are underserved or underrepresented by a lot of agents who, for no fault of their own necessarily, maybe they weren't trained too well, but can do things pretty poorly as being, basically a paralegal with a good headshot.
Yeah, and I would say for myself, I got into real estate the way most people get into real estate, which is accidentally. Started out thinking I was going to go into some sort of health care something. That was what my degree was in. But my sophomore year, I started into property management. So for the last 2 years of college, I was managing about 90 single family homes. And I just fell in love with it. I mean, I guess the main word is people. I love the people, all of the people, whether it's the annoying lenders sometimes, or it's the buyers or whoever it is, that is the fun part for me, is the people interaction. I go crazy stuck behind the desk. And so once I started to get my feet wet in real estate and really start to see just potential for all of the interaction and the freedom to be out and about and doing things instead of pushing paper, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, we always poke fun at him saying that he can start a conversation and keep it going with a piece of drywall.
That is the truth. Yeah. Well, it's very inspiring to hear you both say, and I think that's a great segue into our first topic, which would be, what does this agents versus advisors topic mean to you and your team?
Yeah, I'll hop in on that one to start. I think it sounds funny when you just kind of say what it means, because a lot of agents think that they already do these things. I make the joke with business coaches too, that like a lot of the tips and tricks a business coach gives you is a lot of like not surprising information. It's a lot of like, duh, I already knew that. But I always get caught with my business coach. It's like, well, if you knew that, why aren't you doing it? Which is like the big thing. And it's that service. It's that looking out beyond just yourself. A sales agent, it's right in the title. They're meant to close deals and make sales. We're here to advise. We're here to give you guidance. And sometimes that hurts our bottom line, but we're not only here to make money. We're also here to help the community and to help people and to grow a lifelong business. And so $1 yesterday, if it sacrifices $100, in a year from now, isn't worth it to me.
Yeah. That's why we have a 90% washout rate in the industry, is because people stop trusting people who misadvise them. Sure, you may get a really good sale on one end, and on the other end, you have them and everybody that they can touch hate you.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
Yeah, I love that, being people focused. So, let's take a deeper dive. Tell us, you're using this word advisor a lot. So tell us more about what an advisor is exactly.
Yeah, you want to tag on that one a little bit?
Yeah, sure thing. So an advisor is somebody who actually, even though it's not necessarily legally required inside of Florida, we take a fiduciary responsibility for our client's best interest, even if it hurts our own, which it seems a little bit weird, and I'll break down the term a little bit easier. We take into account what is for our client's best interests, regardless of whether or not we're mandated to. And when we do that, we look at the conditions surrounding why they want to make their decision, what their next step is. First question whenever they have an order for us is why. It's not, let's go, let's do it, let's push these paper, let's get this thing done. It's, why do you want to move? Why do you want to sell? Maybe you can rent instead of selling. Why do you want to buy? Is it because you want the house that you can't afford, that it was the one that you remember growing up in? Or is it, just to get out of renting because maybe we need to steer you into something that's more appropriate for your financial goals and your needs? So that's kind of the thing, is like, we'll do, one is advise people based off of what we know is best. And two is ask why instead of taking orders like a yes man.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the good examples of that is, just down to our basic values, our company name, A Better Life. Our whole goal is for you to have a better life through real estate. It's not for us to get rich. It's not for us to have a better life. It's for you to have a better life. And that might not mean selling. That might not mean doing I think one of the quotes we use in the office a lot is like, be careful what you wish for, because you might get exactly what you asked. And a lot of people don't know what they're asking for, especially when it comes to real estate like this. This is going to be the largest transaction of the average person's entire life. And they'll do 2 or 3 of them in their entire life. I'll do 2 or 3 of them in a month. And it's a very different service that you get with someone that has some experience and can actually guide you towards the right paths. Because a lot of people, like Alex said, they remember mommy and daddy's house 30 years ago, and they think that's what they need now, or they remember buying a house even 5 years ago. And that's just not this market anymore. And we're here to help you through that.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like asking the right questions and just getting to an understanding with your clients of what they need. So, for you to go even more granular, what characteristics does a good advisor have?
Yeah, I think you can probably hop on some of that.
Yeah, I think, and again, this kind of echoes back to what we said, a lot of this sounds like something that every agent thinks they're doing or knows that they should be doing, I guess is maybe what I should say here. But a lot of it, again, is just looking out for the best interest of the client. It's making sure that you're asking those deeper questions. A personal example, I just lost a listing because I asked the right amount of questions, but a sales agent might say too many questions. But this lady had $1,500 a month in cash equity that she could get if she rented it. That will almost pay for her next mortgage. Instead of selling it, she doesn't need the $10,000 and some money in the bank. Now she can own 2 houses, and her monthly out-of-cost expenses is going to be in the hundreds of dollars, not even thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. And she thought, I need to sell in order to qualify for this next one, and I want to put some money in my bank. And we're not even talking a lot of money. Within the first 5 years, the money that this will pay her would be more than the money she would have put in the bank. And she can own this for another 20 or 30 years, pay it off, keep it rolling, And so I think that's one of the most immediate examples I can think of that was a $400,000 listing. That cost me, by the time I paid commissions and splits, that was probably a $10,000 mistake. but now she's referred me to her friends and family. Now she's buying a house through me still and knows that I'm trustworthy and can trust me through the process. And I mean, just that one brutally honest truth that hurt me has made her, we call them super fans, you know, she'll sing our praises for the rest of the time.
Mhm. Yeah, and on top of that too, it's not like we're going to just advise people to rent instead of selling no matter what. In a lot of cases, when we start fielding those questions there, we're wanting to see what your tolerance for stress is, what your tolerance for income is, and other things like that, because maybe they're able to make a little bit, but they have to self-manage, and not a lot of people are meant to be landlords. It's a lot of stress. It is a lot of stress. It's a lot of your tenant calling you at 2 a.m. and all this other stuff. So some of that too is just kind of taking into our own opinion what their personality is. See, if they're high stress people and somebody stresses them out, then maybe we refer them over to a property manager, or we say, yeah, the margins aren't right enough for you to get a property manager, and it's going to make you pull your hair out. So we always tailor it to their needs.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you two are very trustworthy people, but it takes a lot to build up that trust. But then I guess that you have customers for life then, when you can take the time, figure out those needs, build up that trust.
Mhm.
So lastly, what's a service, would you say, services that an advisor provides to clients?
Yeah, so a lot of it is stuff that we're asked for, but a lot of things that we're not asked for. And it kind of goes back to that same question of why that we asked at the beginning, because that'll bridge us off into offering things that maybe they didn't ask for, maybe they didn't really care to know about or want or anything like that. I always make the joke that whenever I'm walking through a home, I'm like a pocket inspector. I'll be able to find a lot of things that you didn't want to know about your house. Saying like, oh, this is a porch ad, and you can tell by this exterior wall. Oh, hey, there's termites, you might want to get tented. Things like that normally would only happen with an inspector. Another thing is when we do a lot of our consultations, when we ask why, whenever we want to feel out what they're looking for, sometimes we have to totally redirect them from the path that we're at. So when we ask why, a good example more recently is somebody wanted to have a duplex that they could rent out one side and live in the other half. I asked why, and they said, I want to have a rental property. So I said, okay, well, kind of can't afford that based off of our numbers here. So why don't we get you a property that can be turnkey, that you can live in for a year or two and then rent out later. And we're going to make sure to find something that's really good. Foreclosures are starting to bubble up. Maybe we'll look at that. Maybe we find something that can't even pass a normal inspection, but we can find a lender who will write you a loan that'll get you to the point where it's totally awesome, wonderful, exactly how you want it. And then you can turn around and move out of it in a couple of years. So it's just expanding that time horizon. Some of the times it's exactly what we do, is tailoring our services to what they need and not necessarily what they want.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah. Were you going to add anything else, Bogan?
Yeah, I was going to add on, I mean, doesn't necessarily fall into the advisor role exactly, but just what we do and how we do that goes above and beyond is, I mean, even just the very small, minute hand holding of stuff. I mean, just this week, I had to hand deliver 3 checks to a property management company on 3 different times, along with a 4th time for the signed paperwork, because this buyer just couldn't get it done. Older lady, needed some help, not comfortable online. But working through that stuff too, getting that real granular, I guess a lot of agents might think of it as like the luxury service or something, but going above and beyond just that basic sale. Again, this lady's now a super fan, man. She couldn't have thanked me enough because I was willing to go 10 minutes out of my way to pick up a check. It's really easy stuff, but it's just stuff that takes it to the next level and then make sure that they're getting the service that they deserve.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So let's recap here. We talked about characteristics that it takes to be a good advisor. what the difference is between, just being a regular agent versus, being an advisor, and then what services an advisor provides. So tell us more about a sales agent. What would you say the definition of a sales agent is?
Ooh, I would say some pretty rough things here.
I was gonna let him run with it because it was gonna be really entertaining, but he stopped himself.
So I would say that the bare minimum is a sales agent. We'll put it softly at that. A paralegal with good selfies, those kinds of things that are the standard that will make you a couple of bucks and then make you get out of the industry. A lot of the things that agents do are things that irritate homeowners a lot. And, this isn't just inside of the home buying side of it or home selling side of it as a real estate agent. You see this all the time with lenders and other things involved with that, where they just provide really bad advice to push the sale, and then they don't care if somebody gets screwed. So that would be kind of the case with an agent, is somewhere between a yes man, somebody that does the bare minimum, maybe someone who took really good selfies in front of your house, those kinds of things that they they can do what is legally required, but they don't deliver more. They don't do more, either by motivation or lack of education, or maybe their brokerage has different standards. But we'd like to elevate those who stay in the real estate community, both lenders, agents, and title companies, to be towards that advisory goal, to give people good and proper information, even if it kills that transaction that you have.
And to echo that, I think, our probably two most often used answers to any question we get are either why, because I need more information, or it depends, because again, you haven't given me enough information in order to accurately and appropriately answer this question for you. And a lot of people, especially newer agents, I see it even at agents in our office that are just getting some polish and getting trained up. But a lot of agents, the answer is yes, right away. And that's not the right answer.
Mhm.
You need way more than that. Even just as far down as, we do our buyer's consultation. You tell me you want to be in a specific neighborhood. Why? Is it the school? Is it because it's waterfront? Is it because you grew up in that neighborhood? Is it because your friend told you that neighborhood was great? A regular agent will just say, okay, boom, Eagle Crest. Here's that neighborhood. I've got 10 questions on why you want Eagle Crest, and maybe 4 or 5 neighborhoods that are similar that you haven't considered.
Yeah. And the same thing with when people are, on the selling side asking for a price. We recently also had somebody that was, pushing a little bit based off of our recommendation. And then they said they wanted to do something that we call used car pricing. So a used car, you see $49.95, something like that.
Or even 9999.
Or 9999, all that stuff. We found that based off of search psychology, that just doesn't work. You're better off rounding up to the nearest, what I would say is TV volume number. So that would be the nearest 525 or 0, where you adjust your TV to. You want a nice, even, easy number. And that's what a lot of people adjust their searches to, which is what powers the most of the buying. It's not the agent setting up a search, it's a client looking on Zillow at 2 a.m. So, with that, a lot of other agents would say, yeah, sure. And then either wittingly or unwittingly screw over their client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
we suggested,
Yeah.
Raise your price by $500. He wanted to do $499.5. Go to 500. You just opened up to 30% more people. I can show, not on this, but I can show my sellers. Here's the pricing analysis of every single home that's ever sold in your neighborhood, and here's the range in which they sold. And by opening it up to 500 and above, because most people are going to search, I can afford 450 to 500. People aren't going to say I can afford 450 to 599,999 or 499.99. So yeah, we could prove that just by $500 increase, what went from about 1,000 eyeballs became almost 1,800 eyeballs with a $500 price increase. And knowing those kinds of things is huge. To give that advice of like, no, this actually won't help you. Pricing it higher will get you more eyeballs. And most people would never believe that until you can really prove it.
Right. So I have a question. Are there any pros and cons of working with either or? Because I feel like in life there's pros and cons to everything, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are there any pros to cons when we think of this agents versus advisors topic?
Yeah. I'd say the pros for an agent is usually with those people with like very, very overwhelming type A personalities. I find they work really well with agents because the agents will say yes to everything and
Mhm.
kind of let them steamroll them, which is fine. And maybe that works for them, but in a lot of cases, they end up circling around back towards that advisory role. I'd say the benefits of working for an agent is if you know exactly what you're doing all the time, you're in the industry super, super hard. Maybe an agent works the best for you because you just need somebody with a headshot to push a couple pieces of paper and do a decent photo shoot.
Mhm.
But if you want, I'd say the benefits of an advisor would be is you get that full suite of service from start to finish, not only just the photos, not only just the contracts and the negotiations, the insight and the psychology, but you also get actual practical advice. You get challenged on why you want to do something, which usually yields better results in the long run.
Yeah, I would say I was going right back to the joke we made earlier. I think the pro and con is the exact same with an agent of you get exactly what you ask for. And if you're a very skilled and educated person in this industry, perhaps you used to be an agent, you used to be a loan officer, you were a flipper, you've done this a lot of times, or you really like you said, type A personality that I want to drive this ship. Here's what it's worth. Take the picture from this angle, do this, make sure the description it reads like this. That's what you want. An agent will knock it out of the park for you. They will give you exactly what you're asking for. The thing is, if you don't know what to ask for, you'll never get it, and you will only get the bare minimum of what you ask for. Which again, I say there's a lot of things like that. I joke the best part about being a real estate agent is nobody tells you what to do, and the worst part, nobody tells you what to do. I'm out here lost sometimes looking for something to do. And so, there's a lots of those things where you have that dual-edged sword. And I would say that that's probably the biggest one with that agent role, is that, it will slice just as much as it will cut you back.
Yeah, so I mean, we have covered so much information over the last 30 minutes or so. So I would love if you guys could just summarize some of the main talking points for our audience listening today.
Yeah, I would say ask your clients the hard questions. A little bit of awkwardness on the front end normally saves a lot of awkwardness on the back end. Getting in front of those questions early is really helpful. Showing that you know what questions to ask also leads a lot towards your trustworthiness and positioning you as an advisor. You're not giving advice. You're never going to be an advisor, and you have to be able to get to that position where you can guide them and give them that. I don't know what you'd hit on, Alex.
Yeah, I'd say, ask a lot of questions of your co-working, but not actually coworkers, types of people, such as your title company, such as your lender, anything that like comes up that's pretty interesting, you should probably ask them about that. Because having a good lender, having a good title company in the back of your pocket is a really good, like almost like a multi-tool that you can use. Because you can say, hey, I'll give you a really specific example. Hey, you can't really afford your mortgage. You're not at the point of being a short sale. You're not at the point of being in foreclosure, but you can make some actual money on top of the purchase price of your home. So you say, okay, pair up with your title company. We can probably do something called a subject to closing. The only reason why I know about that is because I asked my title company about that. And similarly in other cases with lenders, for instance, if you're an FHA buyer and you're getting the crap kicked out of you in this market because it's super low inventory, maybe you compete with only cash by saying, okay, I want my lender to do something called a 203K. which I would have only learned about if I asked my lender about what kind of weird programs that they have for getting people into their homes creatively. So that would be the two things. And then the third one is, always keep up on continuing education, not just this, crap that your realtor provides you, but go to outside things. Propy has a really good crypto agent webinar.
I was going to say that's literally why we're here. Is we are always looking for continuing ed. We are always looking for stuff. And we went to a conference in Miami where we met Kristen and we got introduced to Propy. And what an invaluable resource. A perfect example of why you need to ask some more questions and ask some whys, because there's some really creative things that you can do through this software and this company. They're like, you haven't asked the questions, you can never advise and tell somebody, and you'll never have the creative option if you don't ask questions. So, that's literally how we got here.
Yeah. So, even on top of that, there's plenty of different media orgs that stay up to date that do it. DAM's a good one. There's all sorts of other stuff that you can dig into. That's not just what your local realtor organization is going to provide you, because you're going to get the exact same education as the other agents. If you're wanting to step up and become an advisor in your service, you're going to have to go outside of your normal resources to learn. I'd say that'd be the other thing. It's just learn a lot. And when you're done learning a lot, learn a lot more.
You think you've learned it all, you haven't learned enough.
If you get burned, that's a good way to learn.
So for the audience listening in, and they're seeking real estate advice, where do they find you guys?
Us personally or an advisor?
You guys.
Yeah, huge on social media. That's probably our favorite place to actually connect and the easiest place to get hold of us. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the above. You can find me. You just search Bogan. There's not a lot of us. You'll probably find me just with that. But Instagram is Bogan Buys the Bay with underscores as the spaces.
Yep. And then for mine, I similarly like the social media stuff. Mine started as a typo and then just kind of built itself into a brand. So mine would be on every platform as Buy Housh, Houj, all one word, Buyhouj.
Ouch, 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 ouch.
It started out of spite because our broker mandated us to do some social media posting, and he said, no matter what you do, you'll get traction. So I decided to post the most plain thing, which was every day telling somebody to buy a house. And then I misspelled it one day and everybody loved it. So that's the story behind it. But it's at Buyhoush, Buyhouj. There's even a website for it. And our brokerage is at A Better Life Realty, which is on all social medias as well as its own website.
Sometimes.
Amazing insight, guys. And I know we started late, but we're still almost out of time. I just wanted to pause for a moment and say thank you for your time today. You guys are a team who genuinely cares about going above and beyond for your clients. And I think that attention to detail and care is clearly being reflected in your success within the business, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Your success within the
Sometimes
business.
you never know.
Yeah. No. Congrats,
It is the day after Valentine's Day.
Like appeal.
So congratulations, guys. I'm super excited to see your success in 2023.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having us. It was super fun. We've loved connecting with you. Kristen has been amazing. Now that we know you two, you've been amazing. Shout out to Anna too over at Propy Title. The whole crew over there has so far been incredible, and we've met a lot of them now. So
yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, everyone. And gosh, have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Have a good one and buy a house.
See you guys later.